This morning at 6, Oregon health officials are warning about an invasive mosquito that was found in southern Oregon. What we know about this specific species of mosquito coming up. Plus,
just walking right past it because you get so desensitized to it, it's everywhere.
This Sunday, having small amounts of hard drugs will once again become a crime in the state of Oregon. And now TriMet is preparing to increase its number of enforcement officers. What the new law means for transit riders and later.
What to do
with China and Drew
in Salem.
That's right. We are shining the sunrise spotlight on the state capitol this morning for our latest edition of What to Do with China and Drew. The state fair was just the beginning of our visit to Salem. We have the full experience coming up at 6:45. Sunrise starts right now.
shining that sunrise spotlight on Salem this morning. So we do look forward to that segment coming up. Big weekend, of course, because it is Labor Day weekend. A lot of people have off on Monday. So, Rod, let's talk about that forecast. It starts hot and gets a little cooler.
Yeah, no records. Remember this time of the year, you still have to get up to 100 or better most days to set a record. We don't think we're going to do that, so that's good news. Let's go to a live camera that shows a blue sky, and that's Haystack Rock, and that's Cannon Beach. If you're just waking up, I have been showing the cameras down in Lincoln City, Newport, because those cameras show fog, and it's unclear if that fog will get out today. So FYI on that, if your plans have you going to the beach. But from Seaside, Cannon Beach, and up in Astoria, we think it will be another sunny day, and it will be back up into the 80s. Gorgeous early morning view from the Wells Fargo Tower camera looking off, awaiting the sunrise. We're at 60 right now. We have in red a KGW weather impact alert for the heat. Yesterday we hit our forecast high right on the button of 93. It will be at least hotter than 93 today. We think 85 at noon and maybe as hot as 96. So plan your afternoon accordingly. That's your forecast for now.
All right, Rod, thank you. As he just mentioned, Mr. Rodney did, temperatures are expected to reach the upper 90s this weekend. But even though that's happening, the Joint Office of Homeless Services says cooling centers and shelters will not be opening up in Multnomah County. The office says the forecast doesn't meet its threshold for expanding services, which is typically when temperatures are forecast to reach 94 degrees or more for at least a 4-hour stretch, and also are expected to remain above 70 degrees overnight.
TriMet is increasing the number of its own officers across its system ahead of the recriminalization of drugs. Sydney Dorner talked to TriMet, who says their goal here is to ensure riders have a safe ride.
If you have taken TriMet across Portland, chances are you've seen someone using hard drugs.
It's almost an everyday occurrence, especially at 122nd and Burnside, right there at the bus stop.
Just walking right past it because you get so desensitized to it, it's everywhere.
But starting Sunday, September 1st, Oregon is putting into action HB 4002, recriminalizing publicly having hard drugs in small amounts, putting pressure on TriMet to focus in on drugs throughout their system, something they say they've already been working on.
We've been working on this over the last couple of years to really reduce the amount of incidents that were happening on the train. Since really post-COVID, we started to see some increase in the use of things like fentanyl on our stations and platforms, and even at times on the train.
Leaving officers with more rights to enforcement, with the ability to cite anyone with drugs under this new law, which can result in up to 180 days in jail. TriMet Safety and Security says they currently have over 400 personnel in the field and working towards 500.
They have not had this same level of ability to address open drug use as they do now with HB 4002 for several years. So we're really optimistic that this additional tool and their use of it, and I'm talking about our law enforcement personnel, is going to create some great benefits for TriMet.
The law also gives counties the ability to offer deflection programs that mandate the person go into addiction services instead of jail.
It says a good step forward, but I think the best thing is to try to get these people help.
All news TriMet riders are glad but skeptical to hear.
Criminalizing it again, I don't know that that's a solution, but I think it's going to create a bigger mess.
Sydney Dorner, KGW News.
So with drug possession recriminalized in Oregon starting this Sunday, Portland Fire will play a big role in Multnomah County's plan to move some people towards treatment instead of jail. The opening of Multnomah County's deflection center, we know, has been pushed back to October. So until that time, Portland police will call a team at Portland Fire and Rescue to bring withdrawal medicine to the streets. Right now, though, Portland Fire says they can only offer medicine to people 4 days a week.
When it comes to providing these medicines that are needed in order to ease the pain that the individuals are going through, we're 100% critical. We are essential.
Officials in Multnomah County say because of their own staffing issues, only people who are caught with possession during weekdays will get the option of deflection. Outside of weekday hours, police will cite or arrest people.
Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler is asking PGE to reconsider a proposed utility rate increase. In a letter to a utility company, Wheeler said, quote, "This proposal places an undue burden on Portland's residents," going on to say that the rate hike would add new costs to the city at a time when it's already feeling the constraints of budget cuts. PGE has requested a 10.9% rate increase on top of the 18% increase that went into effect in January. Since 2021, PGE has raised their rates more than 40%. Oregon's governor is warning that the difficult fire season is far from over, saying we are just now entering the most dangerous part of what has been a very costly fire season that could last nearly 2 more months. So far, the state has seen over 1.5 million acres burned and 32 homes destroyed. 6,500 personnel remain in the field fighting a dozen fires that are currently burning. Despite some relief over the past few weeks from rain, the governor says it hasn't been enough to rescue many parts of the state from ongoing drought conditions, adding that the cost of fighting the fires this season has surpassed $240 million, and fatigue has set in for crews that have been on the fire lines for more than 2 months.
This is very expensive fire season. Because of the hard work of the folks here and all the crews across the state, we've been able to protect a lot of communities. But I can tell you, this team and what we've been doing this season has been pushed to the brink.
The governor says that the state will need to take a long-term look at how to fund the fight against wildfires because she doesn't anticipate the fire season's getting any easier going forward.
Oregon health officials have detected the Aedes aegypti mosquitoes in Jackson County in southern Oregon. This is actually the first time this species of mosquito has been found here anywhere in the state. These invasive mosquitoes are relatively small and have a black and white pattern. They can carry and transmit various diseases. They're primarily out during the daytime, and health officials are now urging residents to wear mosquito repellent or limit their time spent outdoors. Meanwhile, another mosquito-borne disease is making its way across the country. According to health officials, at least 3 deaths related to West Nile virus were recorded across Wisconsin and Illinois. The CDC says there have been 289 West Nile cases in 2024. As of right now, there are no known cases in Oregon or Washington.
If you are headed to the coast this Labor Day weekend, health officials are issuing an advisory for Devil's Lake. The lake is near Lincoln City. Officials say this is a preemptive health advisory. They still need to test the water for a bacterial algae bloom. Still, health officials say that you shouldn't swim or ingest the water in any way, but you can still fish, camp, and hike near the water. Your time now is 6:08. We have a weather impact alert today because it's going to be hot.
Yeah, so yesterday it looks like whatever it was at your house, the thermometer out of PDX at 93, which matched our forecast high. Today is probably going to be at least 1 to 2 degrees above that. And we have lifted tomorrow's forecast high Saturday into the upper 90s. So here is your update. Today's either 95 or 96. Feel pretty confident it's going to be one of those numbers. The record out of PDX is 100. Saturday, tomorrow, we've upped it to 98. Feel confident we'll at least be 97. Record's 102. And then feel confident that Sunday won't be as hot, but we still have a good chance to make it up to 90. Sunday is the first day that shows some cloudiness in the area. We'll be perfectly clear today in the Inland Valley, and we'll be perfectly clear tomorrow again in the Inland Valley, which brings me to this, for the most part, perfectly clear shot from the Wells Fargo Tower awaiting the sunrise as we look off into the eastern sky. It's 60 degrees outside. Here's the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club showing the clear skies out on the west side as well. Early morning number is a pleasant 50 degrees. So if you're going to be recreating or working outdoors, clearly the morning hour would be the more comfortable stretch of time. This afternoon, if you don't like the hot weather, try to get things wrapped up as soon as you can. Again, we're forecasting mid-90s this afternoon. Here we are right now. Winds are light. The easterlies we had yesterday, they kicked up along the Columbia River and out near the gorge, have faded away. We don't expect much wind out there today. It is 63 in Troutdale currently. It's 48 up in Battleground. Yeah, I suppose that could be right because Camas shows a temperature of 50 degrees. And then we've got 56 in Salem, and it's 51 in Sheridan, 50 in McMinnville. So there are some very comfortable spots despite how hot it was yesterday. Here's the map for later today. More sunshine from about Tillamook northward along the coast. Yesterday, our story hit 87. If you are just watching us or tuning in this morning, we have fog down around Lincoln City, Newport, and fog that may be persistent in some locations. The other thing to note, Central Oregon, mid-90s, Bend and Madras, very similar temperatures if you're vacationing over there to what we expect here in Portland. 96 today, 98 tomorrow, 90 on Sunday. Still a chance of a scattered shower, maybe a thunderstorm isolated on Labor Day that we're keeping an eye out for, with a high of only 81, so it will be cooler for the holiday itself. Back to you.
We do have a pretty big traffic story to cover here, Rod, as we head into Labor Day weekend. There's a stretch of Highway 101 that's down to one alternating lane this morning. That's because a small portion of a bridge about 4 miles north of Manzanita crumbled. ODOT says it looks like a vehicle hit the guardrail there and caused that bridge to be damaged. It also caused a chunk of the sidewalk there to disappear. Flaggers at this point are working 24/7 to direct what is just one lane of alternating traffic, and the situation will likely stay that way through the weekend. So here's a look at that area that's impacted. It's in the Oswald West State Park area. You can avoid that stretch of 101, by the way, and get between Cannon Beach and Manzanita by going east, back away from the coast on Highway 26, and then going south on Route 53. If you've ever been on Route 53, you know it is a windy stretch of road. It is not fun. So this is a long detour, about 50 minutes, but in the end, it could still save you time depending on how big that backup is on Highway 101.